Hello, my name is Jorge and I work for Columbia Research Unit. I would like to tell you about a study that we're conducting called HVTN 115. Hello, my name is Jorge Benitez and I work for Columbia Research Unit. I would like to tell you about a study that we are conducting called HVTN 115. Columbia Research Unit has been conducting clinical research for over 20 years. The focus of our work has been around HIV and the development of a vaccine while also improving the quality of life of people that live with HIV. However, since the past year and the COVID pandemic, a lot of our efforts have been focused on the development of COVID vaccines and understanding how COVID has affected our communities. The goals of Columbia Research Unit are to set the standards of care for people living with HIV and to help speed the development of effective vaccines to prevent HIV and COVID infections. The program works towards these goals by engaging the community and conducting clinical studies within the Division of Infectious Diseases at Columbia University Medical Center. Columbia Research Unit participates actively in studies sponsored by 3 NIH-funded networks. The first of which is the AIDS Clinical Trials Group, followed by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network, and as of late, we have been conducting studies within the Coronavirus Prevention Network. The study we're talking about today, HVTN 115 Part B, will take place at 9 HVTN sites in the United States that include a site in Birmingham, Alabama, a site in Boston, Massachusetts, a site in Nashville, 2 sites in New York City, a site in Philadelphia, a site in Rochester, San Francisco, and Seattle, Washington. Right now, there are more than 36 million people living with HIV, a disease that there is not yet a cure for. There are many effective treatment drugs that are helping to slow the epidemic, but with about 7,000 new infections around the world each day, getting people on treatment cannot keep up with the amount of new infections. Right now, there is no effective vaccine for HIV, and we're testing many HIV vaccines to try to find one. There are several reasons why a vaccine would be very helpful. First, it would be ideally prevent a person from getting HIV. This would be the best outcome. Another way the vaccine could work would be to slow down the HIV in a person's body if they did get HIV. This means they would stay healthier longer. Another way the vaccine could be helpful would be to reduce the amount of HIV transmissions in the entire community. If lots of people get vaccinated, it would mean that they would be protected from HIV. If they are protected, it means that they would not be passing HIV to their partners. In this way, an HIV vaccine would help the community by preventing new infections as well. Also, with fewer people getting HIV, it would mean fewer people who have to miss work because they are sick or have to take care of their loved ones. So the community as a whole is healthier and stronger. So what do vaccines do? Vaccines teach the body's immune system to recognize and protect against a disease. Vaccines work by teaching the body to recognize any invaders, including HIV, which sounds an alarm in the body calling the fighter cells and proteins into action, and ultimately helps the body to prevent or control an infection and protect against a disease. This is called the immune response. When was the last time you got a vaccine? Do you know what the vaccine was for? Was it for polio, tetanus, flu, etc.? Common vaccines such as smallpox or flu use the whole or weakened form of the virus, but vaccines can be made in several different ways. Study vaccines against HIV are made using newer technology that does not include the real virus, the whole virus, or even killed virus. They only have copies of pieces from HIV that are made in a laboratory. There is no way a person can get infected or get HIV from any of our study vaccines. So we want to reiterate that you cannot get HIV from the vaccines we test. Let's think about this a little further. So many people wonder if HIV vaccines can give a person HIV, and the answer is absolutely no. The vaccines only contain copies of pieces of the virus that are made in a laboratory. The pieces are used to teach your body to recognize the virus without showing your body the virus itself. For example, if you see a tire or a steering wheel, you will probably think of a car, but you cannot drive with just those two parts. Or if you took a mobile phone apart and just had the SIM card, you cannot use that phone to make a call or send a text message. They wouldn't work because they are only pieces. There is no way these pieces could come together to create real HIV. So this is why we can say with confidence that the vaccines cannot give a person HIV. Before study vaccines are tested in people, they go through a long development process. Many research have ideas for vaccine products or methods, but only the best ideas move forward. First, these ideas get explored in a laboratory under a microscope and using other lab tools. If an idea seems promising, it then goes into studies in animals. It's important to do this step in animals first to see how their bodies respond before testing in people. However, what happens in animals is not always the same as what happens in people. Also, HIV is a human disease, not an animal disease, so studies in people are still necessary. We only want to test products in people when we have a strong sense that they will not do harm. So before we do, there needs to be data from animals and the labs that shows that the products appear safe and will lead to the good immune responses. But what happens in people is not always the same as what happens in animals or in the labs. So even if it seems like the product is promising, we won't know until we do the studies. There are several HIV vaccines being studied in humans because we don't know yet what will be effective to protect against HIV. This is the heart of what research is, to explore new ideas and come up with new answers. When trials or studies are done in people, they are called clinical trials. When they are done in the early stages before humans, they are called preclinical trials. We often like to say study instead of trial because it's a good reminder that we are still trying to study and learn about the products. Now that we have talked a bit about why we need a vaccine and how vaccines work, I would like to tell you about a particular study that we are conducting. It is called HVTN 115B. This trial will be conducted in two parts. If you are interested in joining the study, we will go through an informed consent process to make sure that you understand all of what the study is about. Before we do, I will tell you about some of the key information. This study is about research. The scientists want to learn more about these four study vaccines. Research is not the same as treatment or medical care. Part A has already enrolled 42 participants from November 2017 through May 2018 to compare three different doses of one study vaccine. Now we're on to Part B, and Part B will enroll 65 participants and will use information learned in Part A to determine the dosages of the study vaccines that will be tested in Part B. Part B will compare combinations of four different study vaccines.